Yeah, Arkansas, Brent Reeves with the Bear Grease podcast just showed a video that was taken by an agency staff member of Arkansas Game and Fish Commission of a mountain lion cruising past a deer hunter in a stand. She was in a lock-on, way up, and the mountain lion didn't know nothing about her being there. It was unbelievable. It's had like millions of views, and it's like the third mountain lion in 3 weeks. Two were smashed on highways. And I didn't know this, maybe you did, but mountain lions, they have a DNA database.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Fair Chase podcast. Here in Michigan, the rut, you could say, for whitetails is in full swing. So we've been out in the woods a lot. We've got a few bucks down and hopefully a few more to go. So excited about that and excited to talk to you guys today, and excited, Robbie, to bring you on the podcast. Welcome.
No, thank you so much. I know I dropped the ball in our communications, but I picked the ball back up and said, "Hey, man, sorry about this. Let's do this. Let's get connected." And yeah, humbled to be here.
Yeah, it's good to have you. And then, well, I have to say I also did, because we set it up and then I had to message you and be like, "Hey, I shot this buck. I've got to take care of it. Can we reschedule?" So I do appreciate you doing that. Robbie, tell me about Robbie Kroger. Why don't you tell me about your background, where you're from, and what you do?
Yeah, I'm a PhD restoration ecologist. I came to the States 22 years ago to start a PhD. Met a girl from Memphis, Tennessee, and never left.
Yeah.
Have two savages, Leo and Eli. They are 12 and 13, and really sort of inspired me when they were 5 and 3 to start this journey that was Blood Origins, that is now the Origins Foundation. I'm clearly not from the South. I live in the South. I'm not from the South. I'm from the deep South, South Africa.
That's right. So a little bit, east.
Exactly. And just didn't grow up hunting, didn't grow up thinking about hunting at all. I don't think I thought about hunting maybe twice in my life. And one of those times I was with my grandfather and I was turning 16, and my grandfather had this idea that he would take his grandsons on these big trips when they turned 16. He was an old Russian man, and he just wanted to get us drunk. Since it was the first time that he was like, "You're gonna drink with me," and I was like, "All right, fine, we're gonna drink with you."
Good grandfather, yeah.
This grandfather was at 90, smoking in the hospital room when they was treating him for leukemia, kind of deal.
Hey, man. Yeah, that checks.
Old school. And so, I loved the bush in South Africa. Like, that's what kids want to be, young men and young women want to be. They want to be Land Rover jockeys and game rangers, and they want to show everybody the bush and elephants and lions, and this tree's going to cure toothaches and stuff. And I did that all. I loved it. But knew that I couldn't make a career out of that. And so that's why I went the academic route, came to the States, and became a restoration ecologist with a specialty in wetlands. Wetlands is my jam. I love swamps. And that's what sort of got me here. It's what kept me here. And the Origins Foundation was really a calling, a passion project that then has now turned into this rocket ship that I'm barely holding on to with one hand. That just, we really have, it's a very interesting world that I live in that we've created this organization that really has no ego to it. It also has philosophy that is I am second, because and really I am second is like, we want to showcase what everyone's doing, right? The Fair Chase did an amazing production on mountain lion hunting. We want to promote Fair Chase. We want to promote NWTF. We want to promote SCI. We want to promote DSC. We don't care who we're promoting, as long as you're doing good work and that's showing the benefits of what's occurring from hunting. Hey, we're on your team, and we want to use the bullhorn that we created to tell the world, more specifically the general public, about the truth around sustainable use of wildlife and hunting. That's it.
Yeah. Well, I got to go back to the swamps thing. Where I'm in Michigan, so swamps. I mean, we have a lot of swamp. I've spent most of my boyhood was spent with one boot stuck in the swamp.
Nice.
You go out. My mom would, say, don't go in the swamp, and then like I said before, probably in the podcast, I felt like I would black out and then come to, and I'd be with my buddies in the swamp, like digging around. I don't know why we always went in there, but there's all sorts of stuff, and you'd find dead deer, and you'd find snakes, and all the kind of stuff. So, swamps are near and dear to my heart, both in Michigan and I'm Dutch in heritage, and we come from a swampy area in the Netherlands. So I've got swamp water in my blood. So that's cool to hear. And where'd you go to school?
I did my PhD at Ole Miss, the University of Mississippi.
Yeah.
And then, again, keeping with the sort of like I am second ethos, then I went and worked as a professor at Mississippi State University, which is the rival university.
Right.
All right, so
This episode is brought to you by 2O Gear, innovators in technical hunting clothing. 2O is a newer company. It's based right here in Michigan, and whether you're hunting elk in the mountains or chasing antelope in the plains or traipsing through swamps after that ruddy buck, 2O has you covered with premium jackets and pants, merino wool layers, everything you could possibly need to stay comfortable in the woods. Their products are engineered for functionality and durability, ensuring you stay protected in any conditions. Plus, their camo is really effective. We're big fans. So don't take our word for it, though. Go to 2ogear.com and check it out.
I love that. And so you mentioned you started as Blood Origins, and I'm sure actually a lot of our listeners have seen that, and you've transitioned to the Origins Foundation. Like, if you had to summarize its core mission, what is you mentioned, a bullhorn
super simple.
Hunting.
Super simple. Like the first mission statement was convey the truth about hunting globally. Now it's convey the truth about sustainable use of wildlife globally. That's it.
Why the change? What was the
Our mission to start with was to, we needed to become a name, dare I say, a household name in the hunting community sphere.
Yeah.
And we achieved that. And now it's like, okay, now let's fulfill the true mission of the organization, which is to talk to the middle, talk to the general public, the 70% of people that may not hunt, may have a negative perception of hunting, may have a positive perception around hunting. And let's communicate to you why this activity that we participate in, hunting, as well as other sustainable use activities like croc farming, like all other things like that, is a good thing for wildlife.
Yeah.
And why is it a good thing for wildlife? Well, because there's all these benefits to people and economies and community upliftment and wildlife protection, wildlife conservation. But you guys kill things. Yes. The biggest paradox in the world. We kill to save. Well, that doesn't make any sense. Well, actually it does. Let me explain it to you. And so that's what we do. And we generate content in every shape or form across the board to just, and the world today is this digital AI SEO driven world. And we're going to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
And we're going to just pump information into the system so that when somebody Googles, what is the benefit of trophy hunting?
Yeah.
AI is generating content from us. Boom, 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 boom. Here's a podcast link. Here's a YouTube link. Just thinking strategically. That's what we do.
Yeah. No, it's super interesting and super important. And I love the thought to kind of speak to the middle, because I think that's usually the vast majority of folks. That's the majority of those are the people that will listen and potentially have different viewpoints created based on what they're seeing. I mean, if you go to PETA and try to do this, you're not going to change hearts and minds probably so fast, and that's fine, whatever. But
we're not trying to convert a PETA. Okay.
Right.
But when PETA says something,
yeah,
I'm going to say something on their post, and I'm going to say it there's going to be a little bit of emotion in there. It's going to be heavy science, heavy data driven, but it's also going to be logic driven. And so, again, I'm not trying to change PETA's mind to go with my thought process or my sentiment, but 100,000 people are playing voyeur, and I have just read what I wrote. And half of them will go, man, that actually makes sense, what he says. Oh, let me see how he interacts with the people who are dissenting against him. Oh, man, he's pretty respectful in how he goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah. Thoughtful.
Wow. I don't. Yeah, he's thoughtful, and he's honest. Like if there's a picture of a trophy picture that looks terrible, I'm going to say something along the lines, yeah, that's a terrible photo.
Right.
I agree with you. I wish we could, clean up the photo a little bit or give you a little bit more context to what that is. So let me help you. Let me try and give you a little bit more context to what that is.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Because it's at least it's an honest, kind of humble take where it's not like you're just agreeing with somebody because they're a hunter, and therefore you have to agree with everything they do and fight anybody who has any questions about it. Most of the time when I'm talking to people who are not hunters, they are in this middle area that are definitely open to it and definitely see the value, the potential value in it. And so when you take the time to slow down and talk to them about it, I'm always pleasantly surprised by how open people are to it, and how and also how much they acknowledge how far removed they are from their own meat sources. Every time I feel like I talk to somebody about hunting, they're like, man, and I just go to the grocery store and get my meat, or they'll say some version of that, and they're like, I guess I never really thought about where it comes from and how the process works and everything else and the value of hunting, even beyond the meat. Interesting stuff.
Yeah. No, we look, I love it 24/7, 365 days a year. It's a great position. It's a great job. But the world never sleeps. And so my phone never sleeps. And I was just recently in Australia. I came back from Australia, which was an amazing trip. And I was walking around a deer expo down there, and people were tapping me on the shoulder saying, thank you so much for what you're doing for the hunting community.
Yeah.
And it was mind-blowing, right? We're a small organization. We're 5 years old as a nonprofit. We're 5 years old. We're 7 years old as a brand. And it was just humbling. But during that trip, I visited a bunch of my family that lives in Australia now, and I woke up at, 5 in the morning. And from 5:30 to 7:30, I was working, and my mom came downstairs and she was like, what have you been working on so early in the morning? I said, I've been catching up on everything that came to this phone overnight.
Right. Yeah, because everybody all over the world, you went global with your brand. If you just stuck to a time zone, you'd sleep once in a while, Shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What are you working on these days? What sorts of issues?
Now,
Yeah.
we're involved in a lot. We're constantly trying to peek around corners. We're trying to think through like what's coming down the pipeline. How can we address it now? What kind of content can we start filling? So we're heavy in the rhino trade space. We're going to be even heavier in the rhino trade space in 2026 with content that's coming out. We're doing a documentary on wild horses in Arizona, which all of this sort of has the same theme, right? People like save the X, save the horse, save the polar bear, save the wolf, save the grizzly bear, save the elephant, save the lion, save the rhino, save the kangaroo. We don't need to save any of those species any longer.
Hunters, when you're gearing up in the field or at home, you need tools as tough as you are. Tecton, a family-owned company from Grand Rapids, Michigan, makes hand tools with classic design and top-notch function. Perfect for pros and weekend warriors. Their sockets, ratchets, wrenches, screwdrivers, pliers, and organization systems are built to last. Tecton's growing, and it's hiring for roles in manufacturing, engineering, software, marketing, and more. Check out Tecton.com to shop tools or apply.
Which is a part of like education that number one needs to get out, because when you dismiss that, you're going up against the biggest fundraising machine in the world. Right? You just Google how many Save the Elephant nonprofits there are.
Yeah.
Or Save the Wolf nonprofits. Let's just save the wolf, right? If wolves do really well, what happens?
Foundation that's huge.
What happens to all these nonprofits that are like reaping in millions because they're endangered or they're a dire consequence? They're in dire need of help. Nobody's in dire need of any help any longer. You experience it firsthand in Michigan.
Yeah, up in the UP.
You don't have a wolf issue anymore. You have a management of wolf issue now. Same thing as Wisconsin, same thing as Minnesota. It's a management issue. And the idea that you're going to go back to like this absolutely eradication landscape of wolves is asinine. There's too many rules, there's too many regulations, there's too many policies in place for that to happen. Just look at Idaho.
Yeah.
If you want a case study of whether that will ever happen, just look at Idaho. 1,200 wolves every year is the population number. And they take out 400 to 500 wolves every year. With any means possible. Like everything's on the table.
Well, and these nonprofits are not, I mean, they are sort of immune to market forces in that they're a nonprofit and everything else, but they still need their market. And their market is the idea that these species are in critical danger. And so, I mean, the money and potential power, I mean, it plays out everywhere. And for these nonprofits to, for wolves to come back and be doing really well, wolves is a good example. All these organizations, like to your point, what are they going to do? Say that, well, they did their job. They're going to close up shop and, find a new job. No, I don't think so. And so you do kind of run into a weird self-interest thing with these organizations for like, okay, so what happens when you achieve your goal and you have all this money that's been pledged on you? What do you do?
Yeah, agreed. We've actually got a wolf documentary talking about work. We've got a wolf documentary that we started in Colorado called The Wolves of Denver. And it's a play on words tied to the ballot box initiative process that went through 2020. And so we're really trying to use that film as a mechanism to show like what the true consequences of ballot box biology are.
Yeah.
That you tick this box, yes, but do you actually know what the consequence of that tick actually means on the ranching community, on the people that are going to now be burdened with this decision that you just made? So yeah, we've got all of that. We've got that happening. We've got the world's largest cheetah relocation project that's coming to the close to the beginning of its first year anniversary of like catching cheetahs, not moving cheetahs. Moving cheetahs started in March of this year. But they've been on the ground 6 months now, and we've only lost one cheetah. We actually lost two cheetah, one in the move and then one in the field. But the mortality rate is predicted to be 40 to 50%, and we're hovering around, I think, 9.5% right now. So we're doing extremely well with extreme risk involved in the project, but it's a massive, massive conservation project that we're very, very excited about.
Where are you moving them from and to?
Yeah, so South Africa. So cheetahs are one of the most endangered carnivores. Again, going back to the sort of save the species, manage the species issue. Cheetahs are one of the most endangered carnivores in Africa. They occur in these fenced reserves, for the most part in South Africa. They're called meta-populations, which are these like isolated populations. There's no connectivity. So from a genetic diversity, you want to move cheetahs around. Cheetahs already are very genetically similar across the board because of a bottleneck back in history, like 20, 30,000 years ago. They believe it went down to 4 individuals. And from those 4 individuals, now you have every other cheetah. So
no way.
You take a tissue sample out of cheetah in the wild in Namibia and compare it to the cheetahs in San Diego Zoo, and they're almost identical. Wow. So those metapopulation reserves either have predators or not. So if you've got cheetahs with lions, lions tend to compete with cheetah and they'll keep the cheetah numbers down. But if there's no competition, cheetahs do very, very well in closed environments with good prey. So all of a sudden, your reserve has 4 cheetahs, then it'll have 14 cheetah. Well, you're like, whoa, we got way too many cheetah now. What do we do with those cheetah? Let's ask somebody, do you want cheetah? Well, most of the reserves that want cheetah now in South Africa are full. And they're all having the same issues. Everyone's having the same issues. Getting too many cheetah, now where do we move the cheetah? And so we brought a solution to bear, which is an open range system in Mozambique. So we went and collected 18 cheetah from all different reserves, collected them all in one place, and then we moved them to Mozambique. We actually moved 17. The last male, the 18th cheetah, actually broke his leg in the boma a week before we moved him.
Oh.
So I want to move him. I've spent an ungodly amount of money on surgery on his leg. He's got a plate in his front leg.
Seriously, yeah.
And I want him to move into the wild system and see if he'll actually survive, right? It's part of the whole storytelling aspect of this, right?
Yeah. Super interesting. It has such an interesting when you know about the individual, it just adds an interesting wrinkle to
It does, and we constantly fight the whole anthropomorphism of wildlife, right? Like, don't name them. We've named all our cheetah,
of course.
okay?
You can't help yourself sometimes, yeah.
But we're not in the and obviously we do it because it gives the story a little bit more oomph, and you want to follow Bugatti, you want to follow Kazi, you want to follow Tripod.
Is Tripod the wounded one? Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that checks
No,
out.
Tripod's the first wounded one. Tripod was the first cheetah we caught that actually got into a huge brawl with two other male cheetah that came through the fence of the bowman next to him. And we caught him, and his whole back leg was like massacred. It was just gone. His hamstring was like bunched.
Rolled up, yeah.
And the vets were like, man, in the field right there, we were like, just kill him. Let's anesthetize him and go get another one.
Yeah.
And the vets were like, no, we can do it. All right. And we invested a bunch of money into him, and he moved. He was moved with the first load of cheetah, and he's living in the wild.
Your trophy photos are buried in your phone, and the details from your best hunts are already getting fuzzy. Trophium fixes that. It's the app built specifically for hunters and anglers to document every detail: location, weather, gear, and the full story, preserving your memories and allowing you to share them with your crew in private groups. Download Trophium today wherever you get your apps or at trophium.co.
Eating, killing.
Ranging. These guys are, when you bring them to Mozambique, they go wherever.
Yeah, and they bomb. That's the problem, because there's no fence to that they go hit the fence, they turn around and go, wait, no, they just keep going.
Oh.
We've had cheetah that have roamed 500 kilometers in 30 days.
No way. They just keep going.
Just keep going.
Is that common? I mean, how
Yeah,
far do they typically?
very, very common.
They're pretty transient animals, or
Yeah, they move around, and they'll move around, and then they get comfortable in an area, and they'll set up a home range in an area.
How big is their range?
The females are like 800 square kilometers.
Jeez. Okay.
Yeah,
Like,
pretty big.
yeah, usually, I mean, then males would have to be much bigger than that, I would assume, right? Because they're just cruising looking for girls.
Yeah, the males are actually the males are actually smaller than the females.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah. But they don't do very well with lions. They don't do very well with leopards. They don't do very well with hyenas, because they all smack them, because they're very timid carnivore, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so cool. Like, I'm a scientist. That I told you when we started this, I've got a PhD, so science is my jam.
Yeah.
And every morning I log into my collared cheetahs, because they've all got satellite collars, and I can see where they are and what are they doing and what are they setting up. And we've got one female right now, Evie, who's setting up a home range, it looks like, between Mozambique and Zimbabwe. So she crosses the international border. Five of our cheetah have separated and gone to the west. So they've gone out deep into Zimbabwe in a place called Mana Pools, which is a fantastic national park, just very famous. And they've set up a separate meta population. And that was the risk that we took. Like, everybody in these open range projects typically go and catch their cheetah and bring them back.
Okay.
So they go off. You say, okay, you're getting into human habitation areas. We don't want you there. We go get you. We bring you back. We put you in the boma for 6 weeks because you've been a bad girl or a bad boy. And then we release you again and hope that you stay.
Doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
But we just decided on the risk. We just, we took the risk that says we're just going to let them expand. We're just going to let them expand their range.
So that's a pretty major relocation project. And like, you know, I thought getting up in the morning and checking my like trail cameras for what deer were on at night was like addictive, but like, you know, tracking a cheetah on a different continent seems like I could get on board of that.
It is so addictive. Like, what's he doing today? Like, where's Tripod today?
What's he doing?
Like, yeah, why is Bugatti just going up and down, up and down, up and down this area? Like, what's going on there? Like, you think about it, is there game there? Is there prey there? You know?
Yeah, it's amazing. You know, and I had asked about you had mentioned our lion, our mountain lion film. I had asked about a range because the females there have a smaller range from what I understand, and the males are the ones that cruise. And so, you know, a big thing in Michigan for the past, I mean, basically 100 years or so, is whether we have mountain lions in Michigan or not, or cougars in Michigan. And, there's denied by the state, and then when they finally were like, all right, we admit there are some, but they're just transient males kind of working their way through. And finally in the last year, we've got cubs, and
What?
females.
Really?
Yeah, so they're like, well, I guess you do have mountain lions, that are like living here, full time. So it's an interesting thing to follow. And as I got really into mountain lions following the film that we did, it's just been kind of fun to keep track of.
That's so cool.
In Michigan, it was that mythical, like, oh, the neighbor had seen one once, or you saw tracks that were they a dog or a lion. A lot of that stuff has been happening forever, and finally the state's like, all right, we admit it, there are lions. And I forgot how many were spotted this year. It was like a huge jump suddenly that they're
Jeez,
finally
amazing. Yeah, Arkansas, Brent Reeves with the Bear Grease podcast just showed a video that was taken by an agency staff member of Arkansas Game and Fish Commission, of a mountain lion cruising past a deer hunter in a stand. She was in a lock-on way up, and the mountain lion didn't know nothing about her being there, and did exactly what, just like chook, 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 chook. It was unbelievable. It's had like millions of views, and it's like the third mountain lion in 3 weeks. Two were smashed on highways, and I didn't know this. Maybe you did, but mountain lions, they have a DNA database on mountain lions.
No.
So any mountain lion that's occurs in like a road, highway collision or road accident or whatnot, you can take the DNA and they submit it, and you can figure out where that mountain lion came from. And that DNA came from South Dakota.
Really?
Mm.
All the way from. That is wild. You know what? I heard mention of this because one got caught in Lansing, or seen in Lansing, Michigan somehow, or hit, and I feel like they said that they could track that one to actually Dakota as well. I don't know why they're all coming from what's happening in Dakota that's pushing them out, but that's where this one was supposed to be from too.
Yeah, pretty cool. I love it, man. I love the data. I love the information, and that all, it speaks to, again, going back to the mission, it speaks to, we're not hunting cheetah.
No.
But we're doing it because that's what we need to do. That's what hunters do. That's what hunting does. Hunting is protecting this huge area in Mozambique. And because we can protect that area, it's perfect habitat to reintroduce cheetah to, that could expand their range up to the west for about 10 million acres. And we'll do the job. We'll do the work. We'll fund it.
Pay for it.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that is the other thing you had mentioned. You spent a lot of money on a wounded cheetah's leg. That's...
Oh, we've invested over $250,000 into this project already.
Right. So, that alone should make people pause when they think that, this is just about killing. It's a lot bigger and more complicated than that. And, most hunters are just also avid animal lovers, like love to see animals, be near animals. I mean, you talk to anybody that bow hunts, that's half the reason why they take a bow out, so they can get really close to game and watch them kind of do their thing. That's half of it. Hunters, listen up. Latitude Outdoors builds gear for the mobile hunter. Their saddle hunting systems are designed to cut weight, not performance, so you can cover more ground and set up fast, wherever the hunt takes you. From dense hardwoods to open ridges, their mobile-focused gear keeps you efficient and adaptable. Check out their full range at latitudeoutdoors.com. All right, so you've got cheetahs and stuff. When you're looking at kind of going forward, some challenges that hunting is going to face and threats to what we're doing. Where do you see that coming from? What do you see that looking like?
I think that I think everyone realizes that hunting is we're behind the political curve, because we've been sort of nonchalant about not losing what we have. The anti-use people, the anti-hunting people have been operating against us for 20, 30 years up until this point. And they've developed all the relationships that they need. They've put the people in place. They've done their politics. I'll use an example in South Australia. It's a state in Australia. The minister there, Susan Close, obviously tied in with the RSPCA, which is like the Humane Society of Australia. and they've been backing her for years and years and years and years. She finally got into the Ministry of the Environment position. And through a loophole, which she probably was shown by RSPCA,
Yep.
she banned bow hunting.
Yep.
End of story.
They used hunter videos to do that, and I saw one of those hunting videos that they used.
Yeah, well, and also they didn't even use hunter videos. It was like hoodlum teenagers using target archery to shoot cockatoos and stupid stuff, right? Stuff that we wouldn't ever do, but were labeled that way from their side. And so I think the challenge for us is, I think we're doing a phenomenal job. Don't get me wrong, right? I think we are, in the 7 years I've been working in this space, we are leaps and bounds ahead of where we were. I think there's a lot more voices. There's a lot more people caring. There's a lot more people changing narratives. There's a lot more people talking about the stuff that really matters. I think that there is more emphasis on showing, here is the reason why hunting is beneficial to people. Here's why it's benefiting communities. Here's why it's benefiting wildlife. Even on the US, like we think constantly about Africa, but just think about, like, we did a documentary in West Texas on all the little rural towns in West Texas and how their economy is driven by hunting.
Yep.
You get rid of hunting out in West Texas, those towns collapse.
When you're talking to somebody that maybe is a non-hunter, or maybe somebody in the middle, and you're laying out all this stuff, the biological, ecological reasons behind it, the economic reasons for hunting, the philosophical reasons, like what is the thing that seems to resonate most with people that don't hunt? Like what's when you're laying your case out, what seems to be, to really hook people most?
I would say obviously food. Food is an easy hook for a lot of people. I think habitat is also another big easy hook for a lot of people. Yeah. If you had to sort of level the playing field and say, okay, if I was supposed to be as ethical, as sustainable, whatever you want to be, but I still wanted to eat meat.
Yeah.
What's the route I would take? And you ask that to a non-hunter, like, what do you think is the most ethical route? And there's some regenerative agriculture that's doing well and whatnot, but hunting is right up there.
Yeah.
For that food acquisition. Similarly, for habitat, if you asked a die-hard wildlife conservationist that hates hunting, you say, for a second, just step back and say, what is the most important, the most critical element of wildlife conservation today? And probably even more critical in 10 years' time. What is it? Their answer should be habitat.
Yeah.
Habitat protection. Because we're losing habitat all the time. Burgeoning human population all across the world, pushing against habitats, which is pushing against the last vestiges of wildlife conservation. Okay?
Yeah.
So, if you agree that that is indeed the most critical thing we can protect, well, let me tell you some of the habitat statistics tied to hunting. That there's, 1.5 million square kilometers of habitat protected by hunting in Africa. That's almost double the land protected by all the national parks combined in Africa. So even though you hate hunting, you hate the idea of somebody killing an animal, I get it. Absolutely get it. But can you agree that protecting that much habitat's good?
Right.
Because if you can, then you get into the place where I want you, which is, I don't like hunting. I still hate hunting, but I see the benefit of it.
Right. And that's fine, right? I mean, you can hate hunting, but if you see the benefit of it, that seems to be the most critical thing. When we talk about even the films that we do, I want to show what it looks like, the beauty of a place, the how amazing the outdoors is, and maybe you'll never hunt, but at least you'll appreciate what it is, what it looks like, how it goes, and where it takes you. And like you said, you might still hate hunting, but at least you see it as something relevant, something worthwhile, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. That's where we want to be.
And it's tough because you're if you say you're talking about deer and you're talking about killing deer, you're talking about capital D deer and lowercase d deer. So you're killing a deer for the broader deer. And that is that paradox that is kind of tricky to navigate with people who might not have thought a lot about the topic too.
Yeah, there's so much there in terms of like habitat management, population management, disease control, overpopulations, habitat degradation, to, do you like all your roses and your pansies being eaten in an urban environment?
Yeah, right. Now, okay, so we're coming up on time here, but you mentioned you have some exciting projects. You mentioned the rhino stuff, cheetah stuff. You have a Saving Bambi. Is it what?
Savon Bambi
Yeah,
is how it's in French.
everything. There we go.
And we've got a documentary coming out on that. It'll be debuted in Paris in June. June next year. I know, it's crazy.
It's a funny thing to say. That here in Paris, you're debuting your hunting.
There's a massive hunting museum in Paris, and we're going to debut it at the hunting museum. And it's just a cool story, a cool story of people, again, that you just have no idea what hunters are doing. And so every year between in the middle of May to the middle of June is when all of your roe deer babies start dropping. And roe deer is the original Bambi. It was what was used by the Austrian, I can't remember his name now, but that Austrian was the author of the original Bambi, and it was based off a roe deer. And so during this time, if you know what European forests look like, they don't look like our forests here in the US. There's absolutely no understory to these forests. And so the only place for these little baby roe deer to hide from predators are in these hay fields. And so they go and mama goes and puts the baby roe deer in these hay fields, and she tells them, do not move. Do not move for anything. And roe deer also have an ability, those baby roe deer have an ability of cutting their scent. So even if a fox prowls through, they will not scent that little baby fawn. And so, however, at the same time of the year, weather is drying up to the point where the farmers now get to cut their hay for the very first time. And so we interviewed farmers, we interviewed a bunch of organizations about why they did what they did, which is every morning in France and in Belgium, if you're going to cut a field, a farmer will call a local organization and say, hey, I'm cutting field A, B, and C. They'll call them the night before. And so the next day, a drone pilot, a thermal drone pilot, will come out to that field, and he'll drone very early in the morning. He'll drone the field to see if he can see these little white specks. And you're like, what is that? And they're like, oh, that's a rabbit. I'm like, how do you know it's a rabbit? And they'll turn it, and you'll see it's rabbit. And then they'll go, oh, there's a deer. There's a deer. And it's amazing to see. It's just amazing. And then what they do is they send a team in, all by radio, and they're like, all right, you're right on the deer. And literally, we've got footage of the guys. You can see the demeanor change because they're right on the deer, and they're saying, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? And then they see it, and you see their whole demeanor change because they have to catch the deer now. And they catch it, they put it in a little basket, and they take it off to the side. And then the farmer cuts the field, and they either release the fawn there on the side of the field, or they put it back in the field. But mama's hanging around constantly.
Yep.
And so it's essentially hunters saving roe deer. And again, the paradox here that we ask the hunters is like, you're saving them now to just kill them in 6 years' time. And they say, well, what greater respect could we give an animal?
Yeah, right.
Than to give it its best life it possibly can have, to then harvest it and eat it and fully respect it again then. It's a fascinating piece. It's just, and then it speaks again to the first piece of content that was against hunters, which is Bambi.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I love that. That's compelling. It's exciting. It's got a story to it,
It's a great story.
Yeah. Oh man, no, you're doing some incredible work, and the stuff you do on social media is fun to follow and super informative. It's helpful for, folks like us living in Michigan, not having any sense of what's happening around the world when it comes to hunting and conservation. So the videos, the articles, all the things you guys are doing are fantastic. And Robbie, thank you for coming on today. For people who are looking to follow you, to donate, to contribute, and everything else, where can they do that?
Yeah, the originsfoundation.org. You just type in the Origins Foundation, or if you want to go back to Blood Origins, just type in Blood Origins to any platform, you'll find us. If you would be willing to give us the cost of a cup of coffee a month. I know you guys spend $6, $7, $8 on Starbucks every month, maybe multiple times. Just one of those orders, if you donate that to us on a monthly basis, would change the world in terms of what we're doing and helping us continue to do what we do.
Oh, man, I appreciate you coming on. Everybody go check him out. Robbie, thanks again.
Thanks, James.